Hello, my name is Isabel Basaldu Prado. I am a wife. I am the mother of 5. I am the grandmother of 2, and I'm a physician. In 1998, I went to Israel on a trip, and at the time I wanted to have a son. I prayed at the Wailing Wall and left a prayer request for a son. And I said if I had a boy, I would include Israel in his name. On June 1st, 1999, my son Roel Amado Israel Prado was born. Roel means rock, Amado means beloved, and that was my grandfather's name, and Israel because the Lord granted my request. Roel was a very fun-loving young man. He used to just laugh and joke. His laughter was so infectious. He had this big, huge belly laugh that everybody would laugh with him, not at him or at his jokes, but with him because he made you laugh. He was always so happy. He would even go to the library and check out books on jokes. He was a very, very active and very, very smart little kid. When he was in 3rd grade, he was diagnosed with ADHD. We got him seen, and he got started on some Ritalin. After about a year, he begged to come off his medication because he said he didn't feel like himself. Academics were never an issue for Roel. He was so smart, probably smarter than he should be for his age. So we agreed to let him get off the medication, and he did very well. When he was in 6th grade, we transitioned him over to a different private Christian school, and he was very excited. He said he was very glad to be there because he was challenged and he felt like he could learn so much more. But his junior year, he came home and he told my husband that he was having depression and anxiety. I was at work when I received the call, and I was very shocked because I have a family history of mental illness, and I've always been really good at picking up when other people are having issues. So we took him to be seen. He got some medication, and in addition, he had just broken up with his girlfriend, and that was the trigger for that time. He did well for about 6 to 8 months, asked to please get off the medication because he was feeling well, and believing that it was situational depression, his physician and I agreed. Initially, we wanted him to be on through his freshman year of college, but he seemed to be doing fine, so we both let him get off. He started at A&M, super happy, had a wonderful first year, has a wonderful girlfriend, and just enjoyed it. Went back his sophomore year, was enjoying it, but towards the end of the year, he started making comments about having some anxiety and thinking he needed to get back on his medication. That summer, he was supposed to go on a trip to Bulgaria. It was their world singing tour. He was a part of the Texas A&M singing cadets. He made it to Bulgaria, but once he got there, he called home, crying that he just couldn't do it. He was scared, he was anxious, he felt like something bad was going to happen, so we flew him home. That summer, he, of course, stayed home and was very distant, always in his room, unless he wanted to play a video game with you or a board game or watch a movie. And then he was supposed to be a camp counselor that summer at A&M, Impact Camp Counselor, which he absolutely loved, and he was also not able to do it because he started throwing up. And so I kept telling him it was his anxiety, and he said, "No, Mom, I have a stomach ache." He went back for the fall semester and was not able to start his first day. He called home crying that he just couldn't do it. By Wednesday, he withdrew himself and we brought him home. Within 4 to 6 weeks of being on treatment, he became increasingly more depressed and more suicidal and wrote a suicide note, at which time we had him admitted. He said that was the best decision we had ever made. He was in the hospital for a few days, came home, and he seemed to be doing better. He begged to go back to A&M, even though the semester hadn't started, the spring semester. Said he wanted to be with his friends and he would be better, so we let him go back. He said he was doing better. He didn't come home for Thanksgiving because he was working, but he came home for Christmas. But over Christmas time, he seemed increasingly more agitated, and he broke up with his girlfriend. As the season went on, he got increasingly more depressed and more anxious, as I could tell, but he said he was doing fine and asked to go back. We allowed him to go back, and he would call once a week or so, crying and anxious, but then he would say he was not depressed, he was not suicidal, he was sad because he missed his girlfriend. And on February 14th, which is actually 10 months from today, my husband came to tell me that my son had taken his life. At first, I didn't believe him because Roel had always told us that he would never hurt himself because he'd never want to hurt my husband and I. You see, Roel loved life. I found a book later where he said he wanted to live. He loved life. He wanted to get married. He wanted to have children. But his anxiety got the best of him. So what has helped me during this time? Well, prayer, some very supportive family, my wonderful children, my wonderful grandchildren. But what has really helped me more than anything is hearing from his friends about him. The things that I didn't know, the ways he helped other people, the things he did for his friends. He was involved in Aggie mental health ambassadors at A&M, and he loved to help other people. What have I learned from all of this? I have learned, and how has it changed me? I am no longer the same person I was. That old person is gone. I am more patient. I am more empathetic. I intentionally spend more time with my children and my grandchildren. And the small things just don't matter anymore. Those things that you thought were such a big deal, they're really not. I have learned to forgive more. And more than anything, I have learned to be so much more empathetic to my patients' parents. I have, my friend and I, who both lost our children to suicide, have developed a Zoom call for moms with suicide that we get together with them and we encourage them. I have talked on a panel for mental illness and suicide, and I plan to get involved in advocacy. What needs to be done for mental illness? Well, I can tell you, we need more mental health services in San Antonio. We need more healthcare providers in the mental health industry, especially for pediatrics. Roel was 19 when he had to get admitted to the hospital. He waited in the ER for almost 18 hours and then was transferred to Austin for care because we didn't have a bed for him here in San Antonio. We need counselors and teachers that are educated and understand about mental illness. We need parents that are educated. We even need friends that take the time to learn a little bit about mental illness, to realize that it's not that they're crazy. Mental illness is a problem of an organ called the brain, no different than any other organ, like the pancreas that causes diabetes, or the lungs that can cause lung cancer. What would I like for you to take away from this? I would like you to realize that people with mental illness are not crazy. They need you to listen. They need a hug. I would like you to be a friend. I would like you to reach out to everyone, especially those that are always smiling and those that always seem happy, because they're usually hiding behind their smile. My son Roel had a really, really hard time when Robin Williams died, also by suicide, because he couldn't believe that this happy, wonderful character that he loved could take his life. Roel bought a dog that he said he was going to use as his therapy dog. Unfortunately, it didn't work. I would like you to commit to never promise a friend that says they're having suicidal thoughts or has attempted suicide not to tell someone else. Please, if you cannot help this person who is reaching out to you, either find an adult or a mental health provider that can help them. Please do not hang up, and please do not ignore them. That day that my son took his life, he actually reached out to the suicide help chat line, and they took a while and they didn't answer or reply to him immediately. He also reached out to 2 or 3 friends that day asking what they were doing, because he was hoping that he could find some way. I'm sure he was feeling bad that day, but everybody was busy. Please take the time, please listen, please reach out. But more importantly, please know how loved you are by your family, your friends, and the people around you. Know that you are important, that you are valued, and that there is help out there for you. So please reach out. If I can help any mother not have to go through what I'm going through, this would be so worth it. Thank you so much.